Dan, you've talked about a lot here.
Yeah.
I've still got quite a bit here. Well, okay. But we're gonna mix it up a little bit. We're gonna try and make it a little bit fun.
Want to ask me some
questions? Yeah, we're gonna play a game. We're gonna play a game that we play here on the show. We played it once before.
Okay.
We've got an all-new version. We like to call it comic book hero or villain. Okay. And as an extra special bonus. Now, in the past, I've done this as a slideshow, and I show some people, and I ask for your comments and your take on them, right? And you could say, I'm going to give you, you could say they're a hero to the industry, they're a villain, or maybe you could say like they're a Magneto. Maybe they're like in between. I don't, you know what you could just give, or you could pass. You could be a spoil sport pass and not do anything.
I'm going to try. Here's what I'm going to try to do. I'm going to try not to be a spoil sport, but what I will do is contextualize whatever we put in front of us. How does that sound?
I would expect nothing less, Dan Didio. So let's go, man. Let's spin the wheel. Let's spin the wheel of comic book heroes and villains here on Comic Book News. Oh my gosh. We're starting out with Bammo, David Gabriel. Do you know that name?
Sure do.
Okay, what do you think of Dave?
Yeah, no, I know Dave. You know, I mean, might have spoke to him once or twice in my life. You know,
David Gabriel is the vice president of sales at Marvel Comics, in case anybody doesn't know. I believe that's his title. I might have that wrong.
Yeah, he is what I call a worthy adversary. How about that?
Okay.
Okay.
Fair enough.
He has he knows how to work the market, play to the market, manipulate the market. He has all the strengths necessary you need from a person in the sales department. So as I would go, you know, as a person who was battling against what he had done and trying to figure out how to one up them. They always figured out how to one up us. So I have to give them credits on that. And definitely a worthy adversary.
Okay. You know, in my business, in the computer game that I'm in, it's like there's sort of a backhanded insult you can give somebody. You can say, oh, he's a great salesperson. He's a true sales guy. So, all right, David Gabriel is a sales guy. All right, let's go. As these names come up, they're going to disappear. Oh, my gosh. This is a controversial one for sure, Dan. You know why. You know who this is. You know Eddie Berganza got booted from DC after a long period of accusations and stuff going on. He was kept in the industry even though he was kind of acting creepy, allegedly. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I'll take a pass on this one.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Ooh, Grant Morrison. We know who that is. Tell me your thoughts, Grant Morrison, man.
Okay. Since I can play. Grant's one of my heroes. I actually adore Grant. I mean, gosh, the hours that I've spent with him, working with him, listening to him, knowledge. He's one of the smartest people in comics. One of the people who truly loves comics, understands comics, deconstructs comics, reconstructs comics, has his own take, his own wonderful take. He's one of the hardest people for other writers to follow because what he does is so unique that only he can do and find the right voice for what he goes on. But he's one of the guys I actually consider a friend in the business. I mean,
there's no doubt he's one of the all-time great writers of comics. I felt like All-Star Superman is a high water mark for the character in many ways. But I wondered, you know, what did you think ultimately of the approach that was tried on the New 52 Superman? That was really Grant Morrison's kind of baby there, right?
Yeah, no, we pushed him hard, and that was him. I mean, in all honesty, we should have tried to find a way to make the Superman book and the action book align better. So that way we would have been better organized.
That was a big mess up, Dan. Let's say it like it is, man. George Perez on one book and is a diametrically opposed kind of books in the same time.
Yeah, it was. You know what? There's an old expression: "Look good on paper." You know, look good on paper on the lineup. But you know, these guys are so unique in their own creative abilities. Grant's. You know, it's interesting because when you talk to Grant about it, I had a chance to work with Grant on an issue of Sideways. He came in and co-wrote an issue of Sideways with me where we brought back the New 52 Superman. And I wanted him to write that character one more time because I kind of like the arrogance and strength of that character, the cockiness, the idea that I'd be able to get this stuff done because, hell, I'm Superman. There was something fun and fresh about it. And honestly, when we were going for New 52, we needed things that felt different and fresh and new. And we had to break free of some of the models, and he was very strong about doing that and had a very strong interpretation, and I thought he brought it to the paper really nicely.
I thought it was innovative for sure, like and harkening back to the early roots of the character, yet still trying to keep it fresh. What was really confusing to me about the New 52 was like, okay, we got this all new Superman, but it's same old Batman and same old Green Lantern. And to me, that did something to that relaunch, if you will.
Yeah, no, I understand that. Like I said, we can all play Monday morning quarterbacks. Every decision you make makes sense and unto themselves at a moment in time. But the reality is that when you look at the aggregate, you don't see the damage it does until later in the game. And the problem with the problem with New 52 in particular was that it broke so big and was so strong at the start that you didn't see those cracks that were there early in the beginning until it was too late and the cracks became fissions. And then ultimately you had a harder time to fix them.
I thought early on, I really loved the Wonder Woman, the Azarella Wonder Woman, and I thought the action stuff was good. Okay, let's move on. Grant Morrison, he's a hero. What do we expect? Of course he's a hero. Come on.
One of the good people in business, too. One of the real good people.
Oh, okay. What about this guy? You know who this is? And what are your thoughts here on comics journalism and Rich Johnston?
That's an interesting question.
Put on your diplomatic face, Dan, because you're putting on your diplomatic face, and that's cool. But Rich,
your list of things said nothing about not being diplomatic.
True.
Here's the thing.
Being nice.
What?
You're being nice. That's true.
That's you know what? We should all be nice. That's what my belief is, by the way.
Fair enough. You want to pass on this one, or you got to Rich?
No, I think you know what? Rich serves a purpose in the industry. I hate to say that. I could be honest. I was at points of complete aggravation and anger with him. But the reality, if he wasn't doing it, somebody else would. That's just how this stuff works. If you look at every industry and every business, there's always somebody in there attacking at certain levels or pulling the information out or trying to supersede any announcements to be in there. So the question is, where I have a problem is when it's personal. Never cared about stories. I mean, of course I did. I cared about stories leaking, but you could talk to every retailer, and every retailer said, and every retailer to this day still says, I've never lost a sales because of a leaked story. Right. I hear that all the time. They want the information out there. They want to feed the information.
Well, I thought that kind of stuff is one thing. Some of the personal stuff that he put out there, I felt was a little.
That's my problem. But my goal was always to not engage, because I don't want to be part of the story. My job was to make comics that are entertaining, not to police the industry.
Okay, let's go. Let's get into this. Let's go lightning round here for a second. We'll go through these, and then I want to end off. We have to talk about the current DC shakeup with Diamond Distribution and stuff like that. Okay, we're gonna talk about that, people. That's gonna be our final topic here. We're gonna go lightning round, hero or villain. You can just give me a hero or villain, or if you have a particular or a pass, and if you have a particular comment that you want, we pause and we'll talk about it. Okay.
Okay.
Oh, I know the answer on this one, I think.
Yeah. I think he's one of the good people and decent people in the business too. And one of the I think if you go down, he'll be listed as one of the all-time great talents in comics too.
I no doubt about it. Oh.
He's I mean, honestly, he's the guy. He is the standard bearer of comics at this moment in time. He's the top of the line.
All right. And he's your pal too.
Yeah, but that's not the reason why. He's Jim Lee.
Okay.
I'll be honest.
Okay. This is a name that's not going to be too familiar to a lot of people.
She's one of the new movers and shakers, and I wish her all the best. If anybody's up to the task, it's Nancy.
Okay, we'll talk about some of those moves in a minute. You know, similar kind of name that not many people might know, but what's your feeling?
Diane's a good friend as well. I mean, Diane was my boss. She gave me an opportunity of a lifetime. I'll be honest with you. In my own mind, I don't think I'd ever be qualified to be the jobs that I've had in my life. You know how you ever think about yourself sometimes? You're like, how do you ever get to these spaces? Diane had belief and faith in me, and gave me, look, I got to be published with DC Comics. End of story. You know what I'm saying?
Imposter syndrome. I think everybody feels it to some degree, man. And I feel you go like, who is putting their faith in this guy to do that, right?
You sure? You know, I have a great little story about Diane. Is that I thought she was going to fire me when I first met her. So I just went at it. I'm like, this is what you need to do, and this is what you got to do. And then all of a sudden, 2 months later, they're offering me the position. I'm like, what?
She likes the truth, man. Tell the truth, right? All right, let's keep going. Okay, what do you think of Steve Geppi?
Steve Geppi is a you know what? I mean, you know, some people transcend, okay, the business. Steve Geppi transcends the business, just like Jim does, you know. But Steve is a force of nature in the business. He saw an opportunity and took it with the distribution from Diamond. He took it all on. You know, listen, you're not going to agree with everybody's business practices. Nobody agrees. You know, no, you can't do that anywhere. But there's no denying the respect I always have is for people who have the love and excitement of the business and have the industry's interest at heart. Steve Geppi loves comics. He wants to see comics succeed and stay around for a long time. So how can you not support him in that sense?
Hero, right? I mean, dude, he's a friend of this show and he's a good guy. And I want to take a pause for a second on Steve Geppi because there's so much stuff going on out there about Geppi in the industry and Diamond as a company as a whole. But man, I used Diamond for 10 years as a retailer and many years before that. And honestly, they did a really tough job. They did a really good job at something that's really not easy to do. And I'm always going to give them credit for that. But wait till you see the comments calling me a shill and everything else.
That's easy to say, but when you see, you know, when you look at the direct market, how long it has lasted and how it has thrived in certain periods of time and its ebbs and flows, the reality is Diamond's at the core of that, and you have to be true to understanding that there was a level of care, interest, love, push, pull, fighting, necessary choices to be made in order for this thing to succeed. And, you know, I've heard a lot of the backstories about those early days. I love talking about that stuff. I'm a big comic book history buff. I love the history of comics because ultimately I believe that this business is cyclical and it comes around and around and comes back again. Grant always tells me that story about how the ebb and flow of creativity comes around. And I feel that the same thing too. And we're always at that juncture where there's a level of reinvention that needs to take place. But there also needs to be a certain level of stability because you need a foundation or base to work from. If you don't have a strong base, then you can't work from anything else. If you have a weak foundation, whatever you build on top of it can tumble down. So the Diamond has provided that strong foundation for a very long time for this business, and it's easy to walk on it, but it's you should not ignore what its purpose was and how it kept the business going.
Good point, Dan. A good point. And I'm going to take a break for a second here and just say, hey, man. If you want to be a guest or have your comics reviewed on Comic Book News, just send an email to cbn@danshaheen.com and send me some comics. You can mail them to me and I'll read them and I'll show them on the show. It's going to be fantastic. You'll love it. All right. Well, let's get back to the game. We've only got a couple more names.
Wow. I didn't know I was going to do all the names. I thought this was a spinning wheel. This really wasn't a spinning wheel. This was the line.
What the heck? They disappear one at a time. It's great. Okay. Oh, okay.
Yeah, you know what? I worked a lot with Ethan in the past, so I'm going to have to take a pass.
Too close to make a call, huh? Okay, Dan.
I know a lot. You know what? Hey, listen, if it's not about the comics, I don't want to get into it. To be honest with you, everything that goes around it. My focus, my interest has always been about how do we tell stories? What are the best stories? What are the things we challenge ourselves in comics and stories? That's what I care the most about. And my fear is always that we're losing that message. And it's part of our own fault. We have to make better stories that are intriguing and exciting that people want to get excited about. You talk about the days when we led into Infinite Crisis, when Jeff is on Teen Titans and all these other things going on. People are talking to me about every day. What's the comic? What's going on? I want to know what's happening. The conversations were there. Conversation has gotten away from comics. It's gotten away from story. It's gotten away from everything that makes the community interesting.
You're right, Dan. That's our mission here at Comic Book News, is to bring it back. It's about the comics, the stories.
It's all about the comics, man. It's all about the comic story. That's all I care about. When I see people, we talk about comics. I don't worry about everything else. I can't.
Yeah, man. You gotta watch the channel then more, Dan. I feel like we got some stuff going on for you here. So let's finish up.
Actually, you know the truth. One of my friends said that to me, so I do want to see more. You're absolutely right.
Okay. Cool. All right, last two names are Marvel names, I think. Dan Buckley.
Dan Buckley is, he's the rock of Marvel Comics. He's the unsung hero. He is the man that's consistent all the way through, making it happen. And honestly, I met Dan once. Like I said, I don't mix it up much, the Marvel guys much, but we all know each other respectfully from a distance. And I found him to be an extraordinarily respectful person and a good person too. So, yeah. Okay. I'm one of those guys that if people are problems, I try to keep them out of my life, not in them.
I'm with you, man.
I promote him. You know what? I have absolutely no opinion of Mike because I've never met him. So I don't know what to say. Again,
I don't know a thing about the guy, really.
No, I mean, honestly, and you know what? Probably better off for it too. The end of the day, again, my guys are, when I sit there, what I know about Marvel was as I used to joke, I said I used to read Marvel comics, and they used to just annoy me. They annoy me if they sell better. They annoy me if they're told better, and they annoy me if they have talent that I want to be working with. So they just annoy me.